The architect of my own betrayal. A story of high-stakes revenge. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks. I've spent my entire life building things. As a structural engineer, I know that even the most beautiful skyscraper can collapse if the foundation has a single hidden crack. I should have applied that logic to my marriage. My wife, Sarah, she was the gold standard. That's what our friends called her. She was a high-level marketing executive, sharp as a diamond, and twice as hard. When we met 10 years ago, I was just a junior drafter. She was the one who pushed me to start my own firm. She was my biggest cheerleader, or so I thought. We had the life, the 5-bedroom house in the suburbs of Atlanta, the blocked-out SUVs, and the perfect social circle. But there was always one person who made my skin crawl. Sarah's best friend from college, a guy named Julian. Julian was everything I wasn't. He was a venture capitalist, which is just a fancy way of saying he used his daddy's money to buy into things he didn't understand. He was loud, he wore suits that cost more than my first car, and he had this way of looking at Sarah, like he was just waiting for me to leave the room. Whenever I'd bring it up, Sarah would roll her eyes. "Oh, stop it, Mark," she'd say, laughing that melodic laugh that used to make my heart melt. "Julian is like a brother to me. He's family. Don't be so insecure." That word, insecure, it's a weapon. It's what people use to make you stop trusting your own eyes. For our 10th anniversary, I wanted to do something that would prove I wasn't that boring, safe engineer she sometimes complained about. Sarah's family is originally from a small coastal town in Italy, and she and Julian would always slip into this very specific, local Italian dialect whenever they didn't want the Americans to understand them. It was their secret club, their no boys allowed zone. So I spent a year, 12 months of late nights at the office that were actually spent with a private tutor. I learned the grammar, the slang, and most importantly, that specific coastal accent. I wanted to surprise her at our anniversary gala by giving a speech in her mother's tongue. But the real surprise, the one that changed everything, happened 2 weeks before the party. I came home early because a site inspection got rained out. I heard their voices coming from the patio, Sarah and Julian. They were speaking that dialect, fast, fluid, and filled with venom I had never heard before. I stood in the hallway, hidden by the shadows, and for the first time, I understood. Julian was laughing. "So, when is the structural failure happening, Sarah? I'm tired of playing the family friend. I want to move into that master bedroom." Sarah's voice was cold. It wasn't the woman I loved. "Patience, Julian. The trust fund matures on our 10th anniversary. If I divorce him even a day before, the prenup kicks in and I get nothing. But on that day, I get half the firm, the house, and the liquid assets. I've already had my lawyer leak those structural safety concerns about his latest project to the press. By the time the gala is over, his reputation will be in the dirt, and I'll be the grieving wife who had to leave him for her own sanity." Julian hummed in approval. "And the ATM doesn't suspect a thing." Sarah scoffed. "Mark, he's too busy calculating load-bearing walls to notice I've been funneling his business accounts into our offshore shell company. He thinks I'm his foundation, but I'm the one who's going to demolish him." I stood there, my back against the cold drywall, feeling my entire world crumble. They weren't just cheating, they were liquidating my life. I didn't storm out, I didn't scream. An engineer doesn't panic when they find a crack in the foundation. They start figuring out how to let the building fall exactly where they want it to.
They say the best way to destroy a man is to take away his purpose. Sarah wasn't just trying to take my money, she was trying to take my name. In the engineering world, your reputation is your only real currency. I spent the next 10 days living a lie. I kissed her goodbye every morning. I listened to her talk about our forever over dinner. But every slipped. I was in my home office with the door locked, working on a different kind of project. Sarah thought she was smart because she was funneling money into an offshore account, but she forgot one thing. I designed our firm's internal server. I had backdoor access to every transaction, every deleted email, and every encrypted message she sent to Julian. I found it all. The wire transfers, the forged signatures, even the photos of them together in a hotel in Cabo when she told me she was at a marketing retreat. But the real smoking gun was the email she sent to an anonymous tip line. She had fabricated a report claiming I used substandard steel in the New City Plaza project. That building houses 3,000 people. If that report went public, I wouldn't just be broke, I'd be in prison. I didn't call the police, not yet. I called my own specialist, an old friend from college who went into cybersecurity. I told him everything. "Mark," he said, looking at the data, "this isn't just a divorce, this is an execution." "I know," I replied. "That's why I need you to build me a kill switch." We worked through the night. We didn't just stop her transfers, we diverted them. I set up a new trust, one she couldn't touch, and moved every cent of my hard-earned money back into it. But I left just enough in the joint account to keep her from getting suspicious. Then I went to the New City Plaza site. I spent 12 hours re-inspecting every bolt, every beam, and every weld. I recorded everything on a high-definition body cam. I had the original steel certificates, the third-party lab results, and the signed inspections from the city. I had the truth, and I was going to use it as a sledgehammer. The day before the anniversary gala, I went to the gala venue, a massive glass-walled ballroom overlooking the city. I spoke to the AV tech. I handed him a flash drive and a very large envelope of cash. "When I give the signal during my speech, I want you to override the main screen. Don't stop until I tell you to." That night, Sarah came home with a new dress. It was blood red. She looked like a queen. She kissed my cheek and said, "Tomorrow is going to be a night we'll never forget, Mark." I smiled back, feeling the cold weight of the flash drive in my pocket. "You have no idea, Sarah. It's going to be a total reconstruction." The ballroom was packed. 300 of the city's most influential people were there. Julian was front and center, wearing a smirk that looked like it was surgically attached to his face. Sarah stood beside him, playing the role of the devoted, supportive wife to perfection. The big moment arrived. The music faded, and I was called to the stage. Sarah stood up and gave me a theatrical hug. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered in my ear. I stepped up to the microphone. I looked out at the sea of faces, my clients, my competitors, and the two people who thought they had already buried me. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice steady. 10 years is a long time. It's enough time to build a skyscraper or to watch a foundation rot from the inside. A few people chuckled, thinking it was just a typical engineer joke. Sarah's smile faltered just a fraction of an inch. Then I switched. I took a deep breath and began speaking in that coastal Italian dialect. I spoke with the perfect melodic accent I'd spent a year mastering.
I saw Sarah's glass stop halfway to her mouth. Julian's smirk vanished. "I wanted to learn your language, Sarah," I said in her tongue, the words echoing through the silent hall. "Because I wanted to understand exactly what you were saying when you thought I wasn't listening." I looked at the AV booth and nodded. The giant screen behind me flickered to life. It wasn't a slideshow of our wedding photos. It was the transcript of her emails. It was the photos of her and Julian in Cabo. It was the bank records showing her funneling money into a shell company that I had renamed Julian is a Fraud LLC. The room went dead silent. You could hear the hum of the air conditioning. "Mark, stop this!" Sarah screamed, stepping toward the stage. But I wasn't done. The screen changed again. This time it showed the fabricated report she sent about the New City Plaza, and then it showed my body cam footage and the certified safety documents proving she had lied to the city to frame me. "Sarah thinks I'm the ATM," I said, switching back to English for the benefit of the crowd. "She thinks I'm boring because I value things like safety, integrity, and loyalty." I looked at Julian. And Julian, he's not a venture capitalist. He's a parasite. He's been living off Sarah's theft for 3 years. I pulled a thick stock of papers from the podium. "These are the divorce papers. They were filed an hour ago. And these," I held up a second set of documents. These are the federal fraud charges. The FBI is waiting in the lobby." Sarah looked around the room. Her friends were backing away from her like she was radioactive. Julian tried to bolt for the side exit, but two plainclothes officers were already there, blocking the path. "You have no proof," Sarah shrieked, her voice cracking. "Sarah," I said softly into the mic, "I'm an engineer. I don't make claims I can't support with data. I've spent 10 years building your life. Did you really think I wouldn't know how to take it apart?" I walked off the stage. I didn't look back as the handcuffs clicked. I didn't look back as she started sobbing, realizing the trust fund she'd waited 10 years for had been legally frozen and redirected to a charity for homeless families. I walked out of that glass ballroom and into the cool night air. For the first time in a decade, the weight was gone. The foundation was clean. I'm still an engineer. I still build things, but now I only build on solid ground.